Hi guys, Coach Bon here, right? Narcissist, and also before I go further into the video, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's giving me comments in support of what I'm doing, okay? And also for those who are giving comments, any kind of comments actually, whether supportive or not, because all those comments actually help me get some narcissistic supply. Okay, so thank you for that. Okay, so the previous video I was talking about how if you are a narcissist, having too many attachment is not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for you, right? So this other video, this particular video I'm going to do is I'm going to try to elaborate further on that. Okay, more towards me exploring different avenues that I can use to stop me from making more attachment, and also to give some actual doable tips for any narcissist, self-aware narcissist out there who's really trying not to repeat the cycle of discard, devaluation, all that kind of stuff. Probably still going to happen though, but we'll try to limit the damage. Okay, maybe that's the right word. Okay, so the previous video I just basically say don't do any attachment, but didn't give any practical things you can do. Okay, now that's partly because I have no idea what to do as well, but after careful consideration, perhaps I can offer some kind of possible solutions for narcissists out there. Okay, so for anyone new to the channel, this channel is basically for narcissists who are trying to heal themselves, not just through behavioral changes, but also by minimizing the pain that we go through every day, basically. Yeah, especially for those who are getting to a point where it's difficult for them to get narcissistic supply. Right? Usually, this kind of narcissists are older, or have gone through a lot of mortification, or maybe just basically don't have the ability anymore to collect narcissistic supply. Okay, all right, so anyway, let's go into the video. All right, let's start with why it's a good idea not to add any more partners. Now, for those of you who are not a narcissist or are not familiar on how we think, our whole lives is basically trying to gather narcissistic supply. For what reason? Basically to maintain a fantasy we have in our mind about how we should be, right? So for all narcissists, we will be the center of our world, our inner world, in order to maintain that facade and to make sure that it's not polluted by reality. We require narcissistic supply, and one way for us to gather narcissistic supply is through our intimate partner. Okay, so you can think of it this way. So intimate partner will be able to provide so much narcissistic supplies because of the connection that we have with this particular any intimate partner. Okay, so their particular connection that we have with them, the particular connection with them allow us to actually maintain that facade without actually requiring anyone else really to supply it. So if I have to give a percentage, okay, so this is arbitrary, totally arbitrary. I would say the amount of narcissistic supply that can be supplied by an intimate partner to a narcissist is basically 100%. Okay, so let's imagine a situation where the intimate partner is able to give you pure narcissistic supply without any injury, yeah? Which is impossible. Okay, so it's impossible for intimate partner to not cause any injury as well towards a narcissist. Then we can probably live without having any other partner for the rest of our lives. That's it. Just need one. Okay, so it becomes a bit complicated when the same person who can give you a lot of narcissistic supply can also injure you like crazy. Okay, how much injury? Practically another, if I have to give a percentage, another 100%. Okay, if she is able to cause you to injure to such an extent that you are humiliated, you're probably gonna get mortified. Yeah, you're gonna mortified. Okay, so if anyone that does not understand what mortification means, it's just basically all our defenses is gone, decompensated, and well, we basically become our 2-year-old child, I suppose. Okay, Sam Beckning seems to think that the age that we become a narcissist is, roughly around 2. Okay, so enough preamble. So having understood that situation, that an intimate partner can cause you a lot of injury, apart from giving you a lot of narcissistic supply, bear in mind the process of creating an intimate partner requires us to first idolize you. Okay, we have to first idolize you. Okay, so what does that mean? We have to actually invite you into our shared fantasy. Okay, we have to invite you into our own fantasy, into our world that we have in our mind, and the way we do that is by idolizing you. You have to be perfect, because the fantasy that we have in ourselves is perfect. So in order for me to invite you inside, you have to be perfect as well. Okay, now here's where the problem becomes. Here's where the problem comes. Okay, now if you are familiar with what usually happens is we will eventually discard you. All right, meaning here we'll find some well, it's just a narcissist thing. Will tend to be toxic, abusive, etc., 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 because obviously the person that we see in front of us can never be as perfect as the one that we idolize, right? So this is going to cause a lot of problems. Okay, now the problem comes when every time we try to discard you. It is not easy. It's not easy for us to do so, because in order for us to discard you, okay, let's assume I'm able to discard you 100%. In order for me to do that, I have to say that I was mistaken. That I was mistaken in trying to idolize you and invite you in the fantasy. So in effect, it was my mistake that polluted the fantasy I have in my mind. Okay? So just by thinking that mistake is going to give me narcissistic injury, just thinking about it. So so at the end of the day, we never actually will be able to discard you. Well, not that I've found out anyway. We could probably try to forget about you and stuff like that if we don't see you, but once we are reminded of you, it all comes flooding back, right? All the memories and everything, it doesn't really go away. Now, having said that, every single intimate partner that we gather, it's just going to keep causing a narcissistic injury every time we remember that. Okay, now just by being just by thinking logically. Now, if every single intimate partner caused you narcissistic injury, obviously not going to give you a lot of narcissistic supply, right? Now, let's say 10 previous intimate partner versus one intimate partner, you can already see that 10 will cause you more narcissistic injury than one. And eventually, let's assume we can go to 20, 30, 40, 50, I don't know, whatever kind of number. It'll just keep increasing. Okay, it'll just keep increasing the amount of narcissistic injury that will happen to you. Okay, so it's just going to make it harder and harder and harder for you to actually try to maintain your facade. It's just how it is. All right. So the more you have, the worse it's gonna be for you. At least that's the way from my thinking. All right. So the next question would be for me is now what to do about it. Okay. So you ever tell someone who's trying to lose weight, just exercise more and eat less? It's not really very helpful, is it? It's not like everyone's going to be able to do it. So I'm just going to try to give some maybe possible solutions. Okay, some of them I'm exploring myself, but I'll try to do it in such a way that it follows some kind of logical thinking, right? Okay, so before we go further, for a narcissist, you gotta accept that you need an intimate partner. All right, you need an intimate partner. So if at the moment you are with an intimate partner, do whatever you can to actually maintain with the intimate partner before trying to discard him or her and finding a new one. Okay, all right, that's number one. So number two, if you're a narcissist, all right, you're going to have to accept the fact that if you do not have an outlet for a narcissistic supply, all right, you are going to discard your intimate partner sooner or later. All right, don't try to fight it. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Yeah, we got morals and everything on this, you know, depends on your religion, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it is about survival of our own survival, right? So, okay, you probably can think about maybe be a bit more compromised, have some compromise about the whole situation, right? So for non-narcissists out there, you probably don't understand how painful it is to not have that defense mechanism, right? But if you check previous videos of myself, like I said, it feels like a knife cut, right? It's very painful, especially when the defense is gone. Alright, so I'm going to offer 3 different ways that you possibly can explore to minimize the amount of attachments that you have. Alright, so number 1 would be like what I'm doing right now. Keep repeating cycles of mortification, okay, which kind of sucks, to be honest with you. I'm getting sick of being mortified every single time that I have to mortify myself, like basically around every 6 months or so. Okay, so why does this strategy work is because as soon as you are mortified, all right, you cause yourself the injury, the defenses goes down. Okay, you're basically a depressed person. You don't really feel much in the way of pain, so that's one good thing about it. And also your relationship with your intimate partner will be a bit better, since you'll be, somewhat normal. But the sucky thing about it is, in order for you to be mortified, you have to cause yourself pain. So it kind of sucks, right? Every 6 months you're gonna like really beat yourself up, and it's not like you can mortify yourself easily. Okay, so you either have to get a huge burst of injury from your intimate partner, or you have to cause a situation where you slowly descend into mortification. Could take months, so it's really sucks in that sense. But does it work? Yeah, it does work. All right, at least you'll feel good for a few months at least. But bear in mind, for those narcissists out there listening to this, you will create the fantasy again, and you will become a narcissist again. All right. Okay, so if this strategy is, if you feel you want to do this strategy, then you're going to be in a whole lot of hurt for the rest of your life. Okay, probably the reason why I'm called bipolar nowadays. Okay, all right. Now, having said that, all right, it's very useful for short periods of time, maybe a few years. Okay, but I really wouldn't recommend this strategy for a long period of time, like a lifetime. No, it's not gonna work, my man. Okay, it's the second strategy that I can offer to you. Now, you probably will have a pool of intimate partners that you have right now. Now, let's assume for myself, okay? So I have about 4 intimate partners, so I'm lucky about that. I got 5 intimate partners if you count my wife as well, okay? So if you're wondering, we're actually fighting again. So I'm trying to mortify myself again. It doesn't seem to be working very well. Okay, now the other way is, I feel that you can do, is to cycle through the intimate partners that you have. Okay, meaning here you're gonna have to hoover them, as I mentioned. Every time you get in a fight with your main intimate partner at that moment, and then she's causing you narcissistic injury or whatever. Or he causing you as an injury, then you can try to, instead of making a new attachment and causing more problems for yourself, you can